if, if you would, we're going to start the meeting, but turn on your mics when you get ready to talk so that the box cast can hear us. It's okay. Four is a quorum, so we can start and.
All right, we'll call meeting to order at 9:07 a.m.
The 16th. Make sure you turn on your mic.
I'm just going, can I just leave it on?
Yes.
Okay. Again, calling the meeting to order, Coastal Dune Lakes Advisory Board meeting, October 16th. It is 9:08 a.m. now. First order of business, welcome to all our audience and other board members and our staff. Appreciate all you all do, of course, every day, and your efforts towards helping to preserve and keep the beauty of our South Walton coastal dune lakes alive and well. Pledge of Allegiance. Let's do that. Who wants to lead us? Mr. Riles, why don't you lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, haven't already verified that we do have a quorum, and that we have published proof of notice.
That is correct. There's a copy on the table up here.
Okay. The meeting, all right, first order of business then would be to approve the meeting, minutes from the meeting of July 24th. Has everyone had the opportunity to review these minutes? And if so, assuming so, are there any comments, corrections, thoughts?
I don't know, I typed them, so I think I got it all.
you approve this message.
All right, so, do I have a motion to,
I'll motion.
okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the July 24th meeting. Call the question, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Let's see, any announcements from any of the board members? Any announcements from our staff? Linda?
Not at this time. I will have updates later in the meeting.
Okay, we know you will. All right, let's see. Then the first item on the agenda would be, or next item on the agenda would be to, with old business, to review the matrix update, or that's been provided in the package.
Yes, sir. All right.
Linda, take it away.
Thank you. As always, we have our matrix update. It kind of helps us track the things that we've done throughout the year and the things that we want to do. From this particular update, I think we just added the Coastal Dune Lake Resolution, which was adopted, I think it was last week, for the Coastal Dune Lake Week by the Board of County Commissioners, and then the activities in which we've been working on for Coastal Dune Lake Week. So those are the things that are new to this particular matrix from the last meeting. Any questions?
I don't have any, does any of the other board have any questions on anything? No. All right, thank you for that.
Okay. And following that is the Coastal Dune Lake resolution that was
Okay.
adopted. You all have a copy of that. That's 2024-60. It was adopted by the Board of County Commissioners on October 8th, 2024, to proclaim this particular week as Coastal Dune Lake Week, recognizing our amazing natural resources and just highlighting them and providing lots of education and outreach all week. And then I will follow up with the next item, which is actually the activities associated with the Coastal Dune Lake Week. So we worked very hard all year to prep and organize several fun activities for the public to enjoy. The first one was on Monday. We had a tour by the Atlanta Botanical Gardens staff for the Deer Lake Restoration Project. It provided us an opportunity to go out and see those restoration areas, learn more about the ecosystems, why the restoration was going on, and ask lots of questions about the coastal dune lakes and learn about their hydrology. So I thought it was a very good tour. I know Michelle was able to join us on that particular tour and learn more too. So if she has any comments about that, please provide them.
I loved it. It was amazing, and I appreciate the opportunity to go. And one thing I learned, I had no idea that the coastal dune lakes were not spring fed, but instead a seepage situation. And, you know, that just really went full circle with why we're here and why it's so important to protect what's in that coastal dune lake protection zone, because that lake is truly coming from above ground and from what is surrounding it. And you know, with it being rare, we don't really know how that may affect or may not affect the lake. That was my takeaway.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So yesterday, we also had another tour.
Hey, Melinda, before you go on, let me,
Certainly.
I have one quick question. It's kind of minor, but
Okay.
it says, all right, the week of October 13th through 19th, 2024 in the resolution.
Uh-huh.
Is that not a perpetual thing year to year? Or they redo it every year?
We redo it every year.
I
Again,
can't
a
even remember that.
resolution is a proclamation, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't become law. It's
Uh-huh.
just proclaiming that something happens.
Okay.
You can use that particular legal document to do a lot of things.
Okay.
The reason why we want to do this every year is actually just to bring it to light and bring it back before everybody.
renew
that-
it every year.
So
Yeah,
it's
I gotcha.
fresh.
Okay, that makes sense.
But yes, we will continue to do this, throughout the year. I think or every single year. It's a good opportunity for education and outreach and really highlight the coastal dune lakes.
Thank you. Okay.
Yesterday, there was an amazing tour. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but I've gotten great pictures on it. It was a native plant tour over at Topsail State Park. One of our master naturalists from the extension office was able to give that tour. His name was Bill, and he did a fantastic job. There were a couple people that attended that and learned lots of information about the ecosystems and native vegetation around the coastal dune lakes. Today, we have our Coastal Dune Lake Advisory Board meeting, of course, which we have our education series associated with that, and we'll be learning more about the water quality of our coastal dune lakes here shortly. Tomorrow, there is a tour by Panhandle Outdoor Live, so Laura 2 with Extension Office will be doing a tour at Grayton Beach State Park for those who want to learn more about the ecosystems of the coastal dune lakes. And then finally, the Choctawhatchee Basin Alliance, which there is a flyer in your agenda, has organized a cleanup at Grayton Beach State Park where they've encouraged people to bring their kayaks and do a water cleanup along the lake. So it's a nice, robust celebration of the week and provides lots of opportunity for the public to participate.
Okay, question, is there space left for tomorrow, and how do people sign up for the cleanup, or did they just show up?
So on the tour for tomorrow. As of earlier in the week, I think there were 5 spots. I did not check this morning to verify that. If you're really interested, I'm sure that I can talk with Laura, or if there's anybody else that wants to attend, let me know, and I can get with Laura. She usually caps it just because, 25 people can be a lot just to hear one person speaking, but they have, usually she tag teams it with somebody else who is very strong in vegetation, so she takes the ecology side and they take the vegetation side, and it's a really great opportunity to learn more. So again, if you're interested, let me know and I'll get that verified for you. As for Friday, I believe, do we have a sign up associated with it? I'm leaning. Okay, so on the flyer that was provided, there's an email address to RSVP. There's not a designated date for that, but if we could do it before Thursday, that would probably be very helpful. They will have some kayaks available for those who don't have them, but they are encouraging you to bring your own paddleboard or kayak to do the cleanup.
Okay,
Okay? And that's it for Coastal Dune Lake Week.
okay, yeah, we got, all right,
So
we got
should we just appoint them since they're not in attendance?
Right.
This is how this works, you don't show up.
oh, for new business, yeah.
Yeah, so
All right,
we're
no, no,
under,
no, you're moving on it, all right, we are moving through this. So, okay, renewal or new appointment positions expiring, oh, I thought it expired the end of December, but okay. So Cole Taylor on Lake and Mark Messerly at large,
so Mark has asked that, he would like to resign from the board so he can pursue other adventures at this time. So there will be a vacancy for an at-large that I'll need to advertise. And, if Cole, I wasn't able to get confirmation, on whether or not he was interested in renewing his position or, resigning at this time. So if he shows up, then maybe we can just pause this item until he does.
okay?
And if not, then I can just get with him to find out for sure
Uh-huh,
whether or not he wants to pursue his position or not.
okay. I will just say rumor has it that he does, but I'll let him verify.
Melinda, what are the qualifications for, serving in the at-large position?
So the at-large is a little bit more flexible. You can be anywhere in the county, but you do need to be a citizen of Walton County to be in that position, and you need to have some kind of interest with the coastal dune lakes. It does allow for people we have a north of the bay position, but this also allows for people throughout the entire county to join in with our
How many
endeavors.
at-large do we have?
We have 2 at large, 1 north of the bay, and 3 on the lake.
On
I'm
the
sorry,
lake.
4 on the lake.
Gotcha, okay. So you'll advertise that between now and well, this is the last meeting of the year.
This is the last meeting of the year, which is why we have this on the agenda for
Right.
the last meeting. What the
Yep.
process is now with the county is I report back to our administration and tell them, hey, I have these vacancies, and then they did this big broadcast for vacancies. But if you should know anybody, give them my contact information, and I will gladly talk with them, provide them a link to the county website where you can fill out your volunteer application, for consideration. It can be open from now until whenever, but we just haven't formally advertised it because I just found out that Mark has decided to resign at this time.
Gotcha. Okey doke, let's see. Are we
So,
we can't vote officers now,
well,
can we?
so you can vote. I'm going to give you some options. So several of these items are things that I like to do at the end of the year, so we're prepped for the next year. However, due to the absentees today, it might be good to postpone it until January,
Right.
would be my suggestion.
No, I
But
think we should nominate all the people who are not here
I
for
mean,
positions.
if you want to, I'm not opposed. But it's up to you whether or not you want to, go ahead and place people in the positions, or if you want people to volunteer, so. Voluntold is a volunteering operation, so.
So does
Voluntold,
anybody
yeah.
want to,
Being voluntold.
take the chair position, or do we wanna just keep Jeff in it, since he's not here to defend himself?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I think we ought to hold off seriously,
All
'cause
right.
just till, let's get another, or see who's actually gonna fill out the board, and then,
Jeff does a really good job.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, all right, I mean,
I
somebody,
mean,
all
he
right.
does.
I feel like he's in the know, so.
Can we want, I
I
mean, we
do
can
not want
call,
the
we can
position
take
to
a
be
vote on
vacant.
whether we wanna do it now, or table it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the choice is yours. Again, we have a quorum, we can make that decision, but, I haven't asked Jeff, I didn't go through that process to see if anybody was interested. Typically, what we do is a succession, so, as the year rolls through, then the vice chair would become the chair, and the, secretary would move up if they so desire. But unfortunately, our vice chair, who is Mark, has decided to
resigned.
resign, so that succession kind of gets a little depleted, so,
Okay, I do not wanna step all the way
okay. And that's okay.
up. Okay.
As secretary,
I mean,
hey, yeah, you know,
I'll
you're the
step up
one
to
now.
vice chair, but I don't wanna step all the way up.
Okay. And if we want to just wait until,
Okay, that's fine.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's not gonna hurt anything or
Yeah. So we can go do.
to have a
Alright.
pause.
I'll say, all in favor of holding off board elections until the January meeting, say aye. Aye. I think we have a unanimous decision.
And
Just to
will
make
we
it,
know
make
who's
it
gonna be in
definitive,
it?
huh?
Will we know who's in the position by January?
Yes,
Should.
so I will get it advertised probably in December. My goal is always the first meeting in January, but sometimes it's the second meeting in January that we end up getting that person selected. I did have a situation, I think last year, where we had to re-advertise it for some reason, I can't remember.
All right, okay.
We had nobody qualified on like, I believe,
I think that's what happened, yeah.
but
if
in
I
at
recall.
large, I imagine we'll have quite a few.
Correct. That's a much easier position to fill because of the less restrict of qualifications.
So will it advertise on the website, on social media?
Yes.
Okay, and otherwise just let you know if we know somebody?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep, just send them my way.
Alright.
Do y'all get do you get the alerts from, are you signed up from the email alerts? You can go on the website, you know, and go tag the various categories of,
I just started getting, I got the first Coastal Dune Lakes Advisory Board meeting yesterday.
okay.
That's the first time I've ever gotten the alert.
I mean, they got all kinds of things,
Apparently
you know,
I am
for
now.
bid announcements and, you know, anything and everything on the website, but advertisement for board positions is included in that, so
Oh,
you can,
okay.
all the boards, the citizen boards anyway. Okay, are we done? I think we're done with that part of it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna move on to the schedule.
Yep, that works.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is the same as
So,
this year, right?
yes,
Pretty much.
and this is gonna be loose too. I wanted you guys to look at these dates. We don't have to have an action on them. I still have to get the room confirmed. There's a lot of logistics with putting things on the calendar, unfortunately, just because of so many meetings and the fact that this particular room is used by the court system as well for, hearings and stuff like that. So, I do need to verify that these dates will work. It is the last Thursday of the first month of the quarter, and looking at historic years, that particular date works really well, at least on the calendar. But I also wanna make sure that there's not any conflicts that maybe we need to adjust for your schedules as well. Cause I know that occasionally there's a few winter vacation trips and stuff like that that we can just adjust accordingly for.
We can celebrate my birthday on the last meeting, October 29th.
Is that your birthday? You want me to bring you cake or cupcakes? I can do that.
All right, but, huh? Okay. All right, so we don't need to make a decision on that now, is that what you?
Can we
No.
decide on the
That's-
January now and come back
How-
to it?
fine with
If
me.
you would, just let me know whether or not that works. Would the 29th work for you guys?
I think so.
Okay, as long as you guys are okay with your calendars at this point for it, we will keep these dates until I tell you otherwise. If that's okay. And I'll make sure that once I get the room confirmed, I'll set up calendar invites and all those things so they're on your calendars for reminders. The next thing on the list is the code of conduct. That is another thing, unfortunately, I would like to postpone. As I was reviewing it, we had a BCC, we had one for the Coastal Dune Lake Advisory Board, and then they decided to try to make a universal code of conduct for all volunteer boards across Walton County. I found a few conflicting statements in the one that was approved, so I've gotten with our legal department and just gonna check on those before I have you guys sign them. But we have one, we work off of it, it's very similar to what we had, the new one is fairly similar to what we had previously, so I'm not really concerned about it, but I'll bring that back to you in January as well.
We're not flying through this agenda.
Yeah, I'm sorry, most of the things are postponed because of it. The next item is the sunshine law training. So I have the recording from the county's sunshine law training for the staff. And I was gonna provide that to you guys today, but due to the absence of a couple board members, I thought it would be more efficient to do it at the January meeting when we all regroup and are all together again. Just so that I don't have to play it for multiple people at multiple times.
So still be the video that.
It'll be a video, yeah, and I'm also, so the training itself that I sat through was an hour training. You don't have to sit through that entire thing, so I'm gonna snippet, like, the sections that you need to hear, because it was both public, well, you need to know a little bit about public records, but the process associated with public records is, I can talk you through those.
Right.
Whereas the sunshine law things are the things I want highlighted the most, just so we're all on the same page and are up to date on the law.
I'm sorry, back on code of conduct. You
Yeah.
said you had some conflicting statements between some of the versions that were floating out there, and you're just cleaning that up.
They're
for
very
January.
minor.
Huh?
What I noticed is, so they use the TDC code of conduct, which ours is based off of, the Coastal Dune Lake Advisory Boards. But when they went to go make this universal one, they called everybody a council. And not every board is a council.
Right,
And I
Okay.
just don't want that to be
So just- yeah, I
confusing
gotcha.
across, it needs to be just member.
just cleaned up, okay.
Yeah, just a couple cleanup items. So that's, when I say conflicting, it wasn't anything of extreme, it was more like grammatical conflicts, and I'm like, this doesn't really fit every board real well. So I've just gotten with our legal department to see if we can get a few things modified.
Gotcha, all right, I just missed a couple points when you said that before, but thank you.
Yeah, no, I apologize.
For repeating. Okay, so volunteer board training center, we got that. All right, building report, on to staff report items, so.
Yes, sir. So next on the list is our building report. You guys have that in your agenda, of the applications that were received between July and October of this year. So those get included into your agenda every single meeting. The second item is code compliance report. Code compliance, stated that there were no complaints, within the coastal dune lake protection zone during the months of July to October. So there's not a report due to that reason.
Melinda, I had one question on
Yes,
the,
ma'am.
building permits. Unless I'm not reading this correctly, it looks like we have an application date, and then we have a completion date, and it looks like the last project was completed October 11th. Is that,
Let me verify, I'm sorry.
I don't, it seems like last time we received things that were, new, that were not completed yet, but maybe I missed that.
These are just the applications, right? It's not the actual
Correct, yeah,
project.
it's what, and I'll have to verify with, I see what you're saying, so the complete column. I don't know for sure, I will have to get with planning, I suspect that may be a due date tag versus an actual, like, I need to complete this by as staff versus it was actually completed, cause obviously, well, no, it may have actually come to, cause October 11th was last week, so they're reporting which ones actually are completed and have been issued. That's what that column means. So I
I'm
apologize.
sorry, say that again?
So what that column means is actually an application came
Right,
in-house,
right.
it was reviewed, and it has checked all the boxes and has been issued. So
That's what I thought.
means that it meets the completeness.
So it's not the project, it's the application.
The application, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
So, well, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, just to clarify, but, yeah, I just kind of know how the process works. So, yeah, the project's probably yet to start, so, the actual project,
Yeah.
or house or whatever it is that they're applying for. Okay. Building report, that was a building report. Code compliance report, you said, no,
None for this
none
particular
this
quarter.
year, no violations reported.
Just for this quarter, is
For
what
this quarter.
they stated.
Engineering Public Works report.
So I talked with our engineer, and at this time, there's no active projects going along the
Right.
coastal dune lakes. They're in different areas at this moment. So as we have active projects around the coastal dune lakes, I update you on those, but right now, we don't have any active ones.
How about anything in general on the bike paths or I know the new bridge construction, Western Lake, is that on schedule, anything? I mean,
think-
if you don't have that. list,
Yeah, I apologize. I did not get updates
all
on those. The Western Lake one, I will put that on my list, because that is something that needs to be updated a little bit more frequently. I just didn't grab that from them. It is a DOT project, so I'll have to
Right.
check in with their scenario.
Good deal.
The next item is the TDC report, so I talked with Brian Kellenberger, and he said that, we have the access off of Camp Creek that's coming along, it's still in the construction phase. They've installed the dock and some of the pathway, and they're still working through some of the other construction steps associated with it. They also have the Oyster Lake beach access, so that's the one that's on the west side of the outfall for Oyster Lake. That is in preliminary design. I think they had an initial preliminary design that was not acceptable, so they sent it back to the engineers to say, hey, we would like it to look like this before it becomes public, so that we can get public comments. TDC is very good about trying to get something that's clean and then bring it to the public for comments on what it's going to look like
Right.
before they get final drawings on everything.
Gotcha.
And then they also reported that all the coastal dune lake education signs that are along the bike path have been replaced, all the podiums have been replaced, so everything looks nice and fresh and new.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I did notice, yeah, I noticed on our regular bike rides that there were, some improvements there. Great.
And then for additional updates, I don't really have any additional updates on the agenda today, but I did want to bring up a topic for next year for planning purposes of meetings, is our education series that we do. Every year, I come up with some kind of topic that we can kind of cover and bring in new people to talk about those items. We have done things on wildlife, we've done things on land management, we've met the players in the county that do different projects and work within the coastal dune lake protection zone. We have done, like this past year was on meeting the partners, so the people who we partner with throughout the years to get more information out regarding the coastal dune lakes. But is there a topic that you might be interested in? Or this can be a question mark that you can send me an email and we can look at that too.
I would love to explore the dark night sky
Okay.
as just a educational opportunity in the coastal dune lake protection zone. to see if, that's something, if it's a possibility that people might just want to learn about it, so they have an opportunity, if they like it, then they're like, oh, great, I wanna do that.
Okay. So I like to do a year-long topic, so would things like either unique regulations that we could talk about, or unique building opportunities within the coastal dune lakes be something? I mean, I can get some maybe from either the building department or from the building association to come in and talk about building within the coastal dune lakes a little bit, just so we understand the logistics associated with that.
You talking about,
I could get for,
you talking about as far as the restrictions and those kind of?
it could be a combination of things. We could talk about the regulations, and just kind of bring those back, because they did just go through the comp plan, and they're working on the comp plan revision, so maybe it's something I can get the planning department to come out and talk about regulations. I could have somebody from Fish and Wildlife or Sea Turtle Conservancy to come out and talk about the Dark Skies program that's out there, that's voluntary. I can have maybe somebody from the building industry that could come out and talk about logistics when it comes to building, things like that. Because sometimes it's about learning the whole process.
Right.
Because you have regulations to help support and protect these ecosystems, but there's also a logistics involved that, so that everybody understands that full process along the way.
Yeah, kind of,
All the
Some-
different aspects.
yeah, similar to what we did on the building permit list, like what we were talking about before, just what the process is. I got you. That's, yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
I think this, also touching on stormwater would,
Okay.
in
Yeah.
how we navigate, or how, what is the best practice
Yeah,
for
how
that?
the tributaries relate to the lakes
Okay.
and more specifically, how all that fits together.
Okay, I like it.
We talk about the tributaries a lot, and the feeds, as we were discussing a little while ago. More often than not, at least my observation is that the discussions about how the dynamics of the coastal dune lakes relate to the tributaries and the freshwater feed system. But we don't, or at least that I recall, hear a lot about how the Gulf front, the dynamics of the Gulf and the wind and currents and everything that close them back up periodically.
It's fascinating.
So, I mean, I would say maybe we had a coastal engineer or someone with the background that is knowledgeable and familiar with how all those dynamics work and
Well,
actually
especially when
interact with that, with the source of the,
Well, and especially with so many more storms in the Gulf and how
And the
that
hurricane-
may
yeah,
impact
exactly, with the-
eventually.
hurricanes being
Yes.
That would be
kind of
fascinating.
forefront on the mind right now.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Coastal engineering and resilience. We are working on the county, this is non-coastal dune lake topic, but county-wide topic. We are working on a vulnerability assessment for the entire county.
Yeah.
It will incorporate vulnerable areas that could have flooding. Potentially, we just did complete a watershed management plan that identified like hot zones for those flooding concerns. So that particular plan will fold into the vulnerability assessment that will highlight needs and projects that we can apply for to do further work, good work in Walton County. So those are all things that are kind of coming to light, and
Yeah.
maybe even within that, we might be able to do a presentation on the vulnerability study as it all impacts the South End as well.
I had a chance to review that, and it was
Exactly what I'm
fascinating. I really enjoyed reading it.
I'm proud of you for reviewing it. It's a very lengthy document.
So we have certified.
So we voted you in for every officer position
Oh, you
while
are,
you were
you're a
gone.
vice chair. And you have a 1 hour detention after class. Huh? think? We're pretty much done, right? With the
we have-
business of the board. Good timing, Cole, all right.
If you want, we
anything
can go
else?
back up to the renewal of the position. So your,
Oh.
Cole, your position is up for renewal in January. So you have the options of either renewing it, or if you'd like to step down, this would be your opportunity to do that. So, okay, good deal. Then, I will get,
Good guess.
no, it's great.
I
So-
told her rumor has it you wanted to stay on. so.
Yeah, we just needed to confirm that, so. All right, perfect. Then I will go through the process of getting that all solidified and getting, Mark's decided to step down at this time, so I'll be advertising for his at-large position.
Okay. Any further business other than our presentation, that we need to talk about?
I don't have anything unless you.
Hearing none, we will proceed into the, our presentation for this quarter, so. Huh? What? I'll let, Melinda, you wanna introduce our presenter?
I would love to.
We know her.
So,
We know her.
y'all
But-
all know her. So Kayla Wingward is with the Tuckatahatchee Basin Alliance. We have invited her. She comes here annually to talk to us about the water quality. She manages the water quality program for Tuckatahatchee Basin Alliance and does a fantastic job. But she has all the data and she wants to tell you where they're at health-wise. So, welcome. No, hit the button until it turns
Oh.
green. Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Melinda. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be back here again with the annual water quality update. Like Melinda said, my name's Kayla Wingard. I'm the monitoring program manager. And we'll go ahead and dive in. Awesome. So, okay, before we dive in, some of us might be more familiar with a particular lake that we like to frequent or we live on, but this is the map of all the lakes, the 15 named lakes we'll be covering with these updates. Some of our larger lakes are divided into smaller water bodies, so we have 18 different water bodies that we'll be looking at. And just a reminder of what makes our coastal dune lakes so special. There's no uniformity to them. They are irregularly shaped and they're always changing. They have varying levels of inputs from the Gulf, from their tributaries, from runoff, precipitation, groundwater seepage. That all depends on their morphology, their unique specific watersheds. So their water level and salinity can vary greatly inside an individual lake and among lakes. In general, though, they are colored, they're slightly acidic, and have low to medium nutrient levels. They are very critical habitat, for example, for migrating bird species. And globally, they are rare and critically imperiled due to their vulnerability to human activity and change. All right, so this is an overview of what our CBA's monitoring program looks like. So in the field, we have samples that are being taken by CBA staff and CBA trained volunteers. In the case of Lake Powell, we have Lake Powell Community Alliance taking our samples. And we don't just have any volunteers coming in and taking the samples. We go through a pretty intense training to make sure that our citizen scientists, our volunteers, are taking samples that will produce quality results on par with a trained scientist. So we are part of University of Florida's Lake Watch program. The samples that we take in the field go to their lab and they are analyzed for nutrients or total phosphorus, nitrogen, and chlorophyll, and we also collect water clarity data through the use of a Secchi disc. In the field, we do take some additional parameters with our YSI Pro DSS multi-probe meters is what we're using currently. And all in all, we have over 20 years of data at these lakes. So several of the lakes, like I mentioned, are broken into sections. For example, Western Lake has 3 distinct lobes that we will look at separately. Western Northeast, the main western portion, and the Grayton portion. So 18 water bodies in total. And each of those, we're not just taking a single sample in each of these lakes. Each of them have 3 to 4 stations that we are sampling at, that are visited repeatedly. Thank you. Okay, so this is just a breakdown of, you know, what we're analyzing for and what we're measuring in the field. So that top CVA section, that's what we're taking in the field. We get our results right away. This is temperature, dissolved oxygen, specific conductivity, salinity, pH, and turbidity. And then with our Lake Watch partners, we're sending our samples off to be analyzed for total phosphorus, nitrogen, and chlorophyll. And we get those results back on a quarterly basis. Oh, yep, thank you. All right, so when we're referring to nutrients, the analyses that Lake Watch conducts, and when we look at these results, what we're talking about specifically is phosphorus and nitrogen. Those are the nutrients that we're analyzing for, and we're also looking at the amount of chlorophyll. So chlorophyll needs phosphorus and nitrogen as a nutrient to feed itself, to grow, and they also need other micronutrients, but we are focusing on the 2 main ones, phosphorus and nitrogen. Those are the most prevalent and the primary nutrients. If you click, I think I've got a little bit more information, thank you. So there are different forms, different types of compounds for phosphorus and nitrogen. So our results are looking at all the various compounds of nitrogen, all the various compounds of phosphorus. And for chlorophyll, we're looking at chlorophyll A, which is the green pigment that the primary chlorophyll color-producing pigment in photosynthesizing organisms. We're also going to be looking at trends and results for dissolved oxygen. Just like we need oxygen to be in the air that we're breathing right now, it's just one component out of other elements that are also present. Marine and aquatic organisms also need oxygen dissolved in their water to respire. So how much oxygen you have will affect what types and the amount of organisms that can survive in that specific amount of oxygen that you have. There's natural fluctuations throughout the day, throughout the year, in different types of, freshwater versus salt water. So there's a lot of changes in levels in dissolved oxygen naturally. And we're going to present results as a percent of the total saturation amount that it can, water at a certain temperature can hold, and in milligrams per liter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we will see, I'll have a comparison of our lowest dissolved oxygen lake, which for this year is Lake Powell, and our highest, sorry? That's the lowest, and it's at 5 and some change milligrams per liter, which is still above, generally below 5 is when you get into, you might be excluding certain types of animals, of organisms, or, impacting their abundance. So it is still above that 5, which you want to see in general. Morris, on the other hand, has about 8 point something. So it does, I think Morris is the highest. Uh-huh. Yeah, that could for sure influence it. We could look at its trend and see, we're going to see trends up there. I don't have off the top of my head whether it has a decreasing, increasing, or stable trend for DO. I don't believe that it does, but that will be up here in just a couple slides. So on the dune lakes, we're only in canoe or kayak. That's how all of the dune lake samples are taken. And then this is just showing you the types of things that can increase or decrease your levels of DO. Respiration is the take-up of oxygen. Higher temperatures means that less DO can be dissolved in your water, and salinity can influence your DO, but increased photosynthesis and increased diffusion, breaking the surface water with wave energy, that all can increase dissolved oxygen. Okay, so here's one way to look at these different parameters. So in terms of salinity, among the dune lakes, our lowest salinity lakes are Allen, Campbell, Fuller, and Morris. They're all in the freshwater zone for sure. Very seldom, if not for all intensive purposes, considered permanently closed off outfalls. And then on the other side, Deer, Grayton, Little, Redfish, and Powell are our highest salinity dune lakes. In terms of nutrients, lowest nutrients is Campbell, Draper, and Western. Highest, Oyster and Allen. And then in terms of DO, like I mentioned, Powell is the lowest and Morris is the highest. So that's just a relative comparison, but okay, how high is high, how low is low? If you press the next, or maybe 2 times, we'll have some numbers pop up. Okay, there we go. So when we're talking about salinity, 0.04, that's extremely, extremely fresh. But on the higher side, 22.33 parts per thousand is the unit that we're talking with salinity. That's in our brackish water range, with salt water being around 35. For nutrients, the lowest that we had, so this is just for reference, this is just phosphorus. Nitrogen is not up here. But when we're talking about low nutrients, we have 8.36 micrograms per liter of total phosphorus in those low nutrient lakes, and on the higher end, we have 34.04 micrograms per liter. Even though that's, those are the highest nutrients we're seeing in the lakes, that is still below FDEP's numeric nutrient criteria for lakes of this type. So even though it's on the higher side among the lakes, it's still low in general. Low to medium. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, and I already discussed the DO, so we can go on. Another way to look at the data that we collect is by using it to categorize the lakes in a certain type of trophic state. So there's 4 different trophic states. It's basically a classification that tells you the amount of biological productivity in a water body. We base this index on the chlorophyll, the summer chlorophyll values that we get. It gets popped into an equation, and you end up with a trophic state index number. On the far left, if it's below 40, you are considered an oligotrophic water body, so we have minimal biomass. It's generally very clear, and oxygen-rich water. The next level up with that index is a moderate amount of algae, of biomass. It's somewhat clear, and there's the potential for a lack of oxygen at depth during the summer when the temperature is the hottest. Eutrophic is the next one up. We are seeing high algal biomass. Likely the water is looking cloudy. You will have a lack of oxygen at the bottom of the water column, and it could be indicative of excessive nutrients feeding that algae. Hypereutrophic is the extreme highest amount that you can get in this highest level in the trophic state index. Very murky water, perpetual lack of oxygen at depth, likely dense mats of algae are visible, and it probably has an impaired status in terms of FDP's impaired water body criteria for nutrients or dissolved oxygen or something like that. Okay, so here's where our lakes fall in those different categories. It's almost half and half, but I think we've got one more lake over in the oligotrophic. So these are the very clear water, the oxygen-rich water bodies. And then we do have a significant amount also falling in that mesotrophic, still somewhat clear, a little bit more cloudy, higher nutrient and chlorophyll levels, but still on the lower side of this index. So this is just one other way to look at how our water bodies can be characterized compared to maybe other lakes that we see in, the Central Florida and Lakeland or something. This is just one more way to look at it. When we're talking about the trophic state index, there are those cutoffs at like 40 or 50 or 70. So one could be 39 and you would be considered oligotrophic. One could be 41 and you would be considered mesotrophic. So this is just one out of several ways that you can look at these together. Or oligotrophic. That is naturally how these lakes, their natural state. So we could, yes, I know some of these lakes kind of teeter between oligotrophic and mesotrophic based on the year. I do think that oyster was eutrophic in a recent year. That's something I would want to look specifically at the report to tell you for sure. But there is some teetering back and forth, mostly between oligotrophic and mesotrophic. Well, for this designation specifically, it's based on chlorophyll levels. So all of the ones in oligotrophic, very low chlorophyll levels. Mesotrophic, you're getting into a higher category of phytoplankton, basically, of algae, which could be, due to nutrients and other environmental factors too. So that's how everything is ranking for 2023. That's our most recent full year of data. So that's what those characteristics are based on. But in terms of how does our data, where is it going over time? Are levels increasing, decreasing, or stable over time? So we'll be looking at some 10-year trends. Does our 2023 data change those 10-year trends with the addition? And we're going to be focusing on these three in particular. These are the ones that could be alarming us to an issue if they're all happening, if you have increasing nutrients that are increasing your level of chlorophyll, that could very well decrease the amount of oxygen that's then available for other organisms. So those are some trends that we want to keep our eye out for. Okay, so this is a large table, and we're going to kind of narrow it in, but basically all of our lakes are on that left-hand column. An upward arrow indicates that the trend over 10 years from 2014 to 2023 is increasing. A period means it's stable. Downward arrow means decreasing. If you press the next, the clicker, okay. So the only, out of those three trends that we were like, oh, we want to, keep our eye on that, we're continuing to see some increasing phosphorus, total phosphorus, that's what TP is. The total nitrogen is this, oh, yeah, you can just stay there, is decreasing in most cases in general. Chlorophyll is stable, DO is stable, pH and salinity are in about half of lakes increasing. So we're only seeing, there's only that one, out of those three focal trends, we're only seeing that in the case of phosphorus. But like I mentioned, all of our phosphorus nutrient levels are still well below FGP. It could be. So, there's different ways to look at if a trend is increasing or decreasing different thresholds that analysts could use to say, is it significant, is it not significant? Just because this is an increasing trend by the types of equations we use here doesn't necessarily mean there's cause for concern. Another way to look at it would be on the time series graphs, where you can kind of see, okay, there is a trend over 10 years, but how did 2023 play into that? Just because it's significant doesn't mean that every single year we're going up, if that makes any sense.
But like, this is the only data we are, we're shown, so.
Yeah.
Is it actually, I'm asking, is it actually, like you're saying.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's not alarming to me because we're also not seeing chlorophyll, a corresponding increase in chlorophyll or decrease in DO. There are some interactions between increasing salinity and increasing total phosphorus and increasing pH, as you see up there, and decreasing nitrogen. There are interactions that play among those parameters, so that could be at play. It's not necessarily, a cause for concern. Yeah. Right, and looking into what the cause could be. Because our monitoring program really just, is monitoring. It isn't able to tell us why the changes are happening necessarily. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So Eastern is extremely stable at the moment for these 10-year trends. And Grayton too. Definitely saltwater is going to be correlating with lower nutrient levels. That's something that we wouldn't be surprised to see, yeah. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily. So, biological productivity, increased levels, is not necessarily a bad thing. So, nutrients are natural. We need them. We want chlorophyll. We want phytoplankton. We want, all of these processes to be going. It's just against natural records and natural levels that we're seeing, are humans making an impact to them is really what we want to be concerned about. There's, other lakes in different parts of Florida where eutrophic might be their natural, healthy, thriving state. But for how we know dune lakes, coastal dune lakes to be, we're hanging in that low oligotrophic and mesotrophic. And that seems to be where they have been for a while. This is just a view of some of our notes from the field. So when our volunteers or our staff are out in the field taking samples, they also collect some anecdotal observation data. So we get notes like, alligators are being sighted in Fuller Lake, we are in Florida, so just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're there, but in this case, they were seen. Really large outfall openings in Draper Lake. They had never seen Draper Lake that shallow. That was in January of this year. One of our younger citizen scientists who works with her father to monitor around the bay said this was the best day ever at Western Lake, so I just like sharing that. But anyways, these are the types of comments we also receive. Some of them are keeping their eye on the construction that's going around their lakes. I know all of our volunteers are always on alert to look for potential sources of harm. Yeah. And this is our interactive dashboard that can be found on our website if you want to look at any of these lakes in particular more in depth. And you can also access our water quality reports on that quick links section to look in at a specific lake of interest. Okay, and that's all I have. Mhm. Yeah, so the way we have it, right, on the report, yeah, Western's divided into 3. In terms of Eastern Lake, for historical sampling reasons, we actually divide that one up too. And we have 6 different stations there, but they are combined for this report. But yeah, it's pretty much Western. So we do not have any open positions at our Dune Lakes currently. The only thing we are waiting for is for Camp Creek, where the CBA staff is continuing to sample there until the construction is finished, and then we're going to involve a local volunteer to be able to use that access to do the sampling there. But yeah, we're actually, this is the first time, I think I've said that in like years, that all of our Dune Lake positions are filled, which is wonderful at the moment. Yeah. I know. Right? That's interesting. Yeah, one of the observations that was on that last slide is the volunteer who monitors the western northeast portion of that lake. And one of her observations was, I've never seen this many jellyfish. So the lake levels, the water that is in there, as we saw in the trends, is like pretty darn high saline. So the influence from the Gulf is making an impact in, yeah, what you're seeing in there, the types of life and
So we had a contract with the Public Activities Alliance to do some management of drug race on all the lakes over the past 2 years. So we worked with one with the Public Activities Alliance. She had that particular project up. They did a fantastic job. We didn't close that out this particular year because it was before funding. But that's something we may actually bring back to the board in January to consider. We have the set aside money that the board and commissioners do every year, and we try to find opportunities for education outreach, but also for other projects. So this might be an opportunity to eat into that particular program or managing the program. So at this time, I don't think there's any additional funding. So that might be an opportunity for us. Yes, exactly. It's a management program, not an eradication program. And we don't necessarily want to eradicate it, because the thing with primate is that it does serve a purpose. It's just when it becomes monoculture and you're not able to get other species in there so you can have a diversity of organisms, that's when we have concern for an ecosystem health. So that's why we do management opportunities.
Okay.
thank you.
Anyone have anything else? Kayla, thank you very much. All right, so that brings us almost to the conclusion. We have an audience. Any public comments or, or questions? Yes, sir. Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. With that, unless anyone else has anything further, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Okay.
We're
Thank you.
adjourned. Thank you, everyone.